talk about work culture. So work culture is extremely important in any organization. What we need to be doing in our organization is looking at our team, because without our team, unfortunately, we don't have a business. So I would say the culture comes from the top, which is me. So how do I instill this culture into people without upsetting them? It's difficult. It's really difficult. So ultimately, when you're onboarding somebody, just make sure that you have a few fundamentals in place of your work culture. That at M&R, we say we're the best in Bolton. So if you're going to do that, you've got to then live up to your reputation. We don't want people in scruffy vans, McDonald's all over the front seats, etc. We wanted them to keep the vans nice and tidy and washed. This is something that is part of work culture. So if you can get everybody doing that in your company, they're representing you, fantastic. You also want to realise that the biggest mistake that people put is customers first. Now, I'm not saying that's not mega important, because it really is. But if you're putting your customers first and you're not putting your team first, you need to treat your team like you treat your customers, because without your team, you haven't got anything. So I would recommend having regular meetings and appraisals if you want to, depending on how far you want to go. But in the meetings, I used to just talk about neg. Now I talk about neg, positive, and always leave on a positive note, because the team are aware of the stuff what's gone wrong. So we don't need to ram it down the throat every 10 minutes. We need to highlight it. What can we do about it? But running a business, there's always going to be something every day, a challenge, because you've got to realise, if you've got a business, you've got to have work culture that is all from the same hymn book. You can't have somebody doing something differently, because it's just going to upset the whole team. I'm sure you've all heard about the expression about a bad egg or a bad apple, a bad apple in a basket. What's the first thing you've got to do? You've got to deal with it and remove it, or repair it somehow. But ultimately, you've got to take action so that your work culture doesn't change. So our work culture is customer service. We've got to offer the best customer services. We've got to be tidy. We've got to be clean. We've got to basically try to turn up earlier. Turn up early is always better than turn up late. I know that can't be avoided, because ultimately traffic and things in 2024 that are going on. But ultimately, we need to be realising that that's important. If you say to a customer, you've got to get there, don't let everybody just slack off like, oh, they'll be because some customers, they can be very difficult, and you can then get into a culture where you're answering the phone because you've got difficult customers. And I've been guilty of this. You're treating them all the same. So when someone's got a genuine problem, they'll come and you'll think, oh no, you're trying it on because the last person did. Because ultimately people will do this. They'll put you under pressure. But just keep calm, take a breath, and realise this isn't personal. This is just business. Very hard thing to do, because we've all got emotions. I'm pretty urged you've been told, don't bring your problems to work. But unfortunately, that's not quite true. We've got to establish those problems, live with them problems, and move on. But you've got to make sure that everybody in that culture is from the same. So if you notice one member of your team's down, and the lads do, or the girls do, the culture should be, something's wrong with Mick at the minute. Let's have a chat with him. You don't think you need to have a chat with Mick if you've noticed something with him? Because once you've got that culture of care in your business, that's brilliant. But one thing I would say as well is it's great as well, because then they spot me having issues. They can see when I'm ready for burnout, when I'm kicking off over something that's totally irrelevant, what is the really underlying problem that's making me feel that way and talk the way I'm talking. So again, going back to work culture, you need to turn it into more like a caring environment with rules. I suppose a bit like when you're bringing your children up, really. They've got rules, they get the love, they get what they want, and ultimately everything works smoothly. Now, try to keep that culture up. It's very difficult, but you have to do it. Because if you don't do it, you will never succeed. I mean, there's got to be situations in businesses. I always wonder, how do you get from 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 100, 100 to 150, 250, and then up to, say, 8,000? How is that even possible? That's down to the communication and work culture in that company, how they've done it, how they've actually got that process in, systems again and operations, how they have managed to get that work culture. If you look at the big boys, there's out there where they have every month they have an award to the best salesman, the best person that's done cold calling, whatever it may be. We have the same thing to keep the culture up. If the lads get the reviews and they do really well, we have so much good responses out of doing the toolkits for them. We decided, right, sack that. What we're going to do is take them out for food and have a right good drink, maybe on a Friday or something when we're not working. In the summer when it's a bit slacker, it's nice to have a work stew, but isn't it nice to have two work stews and appreciate, your work colleagues and get to know each other on a personal level? People say you shouldn't do that, but I do believe as a director, it's good to do it every now and again. But ultimately, work culture is probably one of the biggest, most important things that you can be doing in a business. You've got to have a happy team. It's a bit like a happy wife. They say, happy team, happy make. It's that simple. If I'm a bad leader, which I've been in the past, and I hope I'm getting better at it, I can quickly lose these work culture ethics that I've put in place. So ultimately, just have a think about when you're going to be speaking to your team, what you're going to be saying to them. If you need to say something that you feel that's a little bit embarrassing, make sure you pull them to one side. Don't say it in front of the whole team, make the mistakes I've made, because it's not nice. Because you don't realise that you're upsetting someone's feeling. It never comes back to you through that person. It'll come back from another work member that will tell you, and you'll think, you know what, I shouldn't have said that. So just be mindful what you're saying to people, because you don't know what day they've had as well. It's not all about the owner, it's also about the team. So I'd like to leave it there with you all, guys, and see what you think about what I've said. If you can just let me know if you have any of these problems with culture and work culture, and if I can give you any advice, I will. And if you can give me any advice, I welcome it. Thank you very much.